Welcome in the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. This is the 16th of April, 2024, and it's a great day. I'm wearing a little bit of a swag here. That's because we are getting ready. On the countdown, on the hunt, almost there. Another incentive to go, and I'm already headed that way. Getting ready for Genesis Week 2024. I kind of made the point yesterday, the day before that. I think it's been a point that's been made is, between now and Genesis Week, Upland is going to continue to give us little tidbits or incentives. They can't get too close because then it's ridiculous to say, hey, don't you want to go to Genesis Week tomorrow? Because it's going to be hard to make those bookings, those plans, to get the time off work if you're 24 hours ahead. But this is a sweet spot where just under 2 months out, if Upland says, hey, the ticket that you're buying is a lot more valuable than you originally thought it was, it might be enough to get you to want to go to Genesis Week when otherwise you were just on the fence. So get into what that's all about and why, just maybe, just possibly, it'll be enough of an incentive to get you, if you're not going to Genesis Week or not planning to go to Genesis Week, to make a different decision or change your mind. Also, it's a Tuesday in a season. Tuesday in a season means we're going to get our drop for a cosmetic drop this week. So we'll see what those were today. And good news, positive news, a little bit optimistic news. Three items today. Maybe I said, why do I keep getting 2 items the last couple weeks? Maybe it was enough. I don't think so. I think it's just all part of the plan. But three this week. We'll get into what's going on. And I said, give me a little bit of animation. There's a little bit of animation. And of course, I keep my eye out. I will look at the value of the season based on what happened over the entire season. I will look over how much I enjoyed the season based on what happens in the totality of the season. But for now, this week wasn't the worst in the world. And I'll get into that, obviously, as well as the new Genesis Week announcement today. And then we are going to look at 1 or 2 other things, and those are all looking forward because no other big announcements as of right now. We can look back on the sale today, the UPX sale that I was very excited about for map assets, and I was busy for an hour, and apparently 35 minutes was enough to be busy for to not get a chance to be able to purchase. Maybe this is not as optimistic news, but let's get into the reality of what happened today. Some of it's being reported to me by third party. Some of it I do know to be the case because I was able to independently verify by trying to go and do it myself. But also, it is definitely something to keep in mind that these type of events sometimes, just sometimes, aren't perfect. In this case, or I may not have been. So we'll get into that as well. But kicking things off, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Should we take as game strategy or financial advice and represent the game of the team of Upland? Any guests or contributors who we do have on have their own opinions and welcome to them. They shouldn't be taking as game strategy advice. Shouldn't be taking as financial advice. I represent myself, the goals for the Cafe Nightly Show, the game of Upland, or the team of Upland. Easy enough. Let's start with something visual. Let's start with something that we can look at and it can tell us a little bit or a lot about what's going on in the overall Upland world. Let's have it pop in our face and tell us a little bit with a little graphic why we should, just maybe, just sort of, just kind of, why we should consider going to Genesis Week 2024. And I don't know what could make me personally want to go to Genesis Week, want to go and do something in Upland more than Spark. It seems to be the biggest incentive in the game right now. Call it Spark, call it Sparklet, one and the same. Obviously, we know that the Spark to Sparklet transition is going to be happening in the near future. Upland's already mentioned it. We don't know when, but it's a consideration that we can already start discussing. The rewards for the airdrop are already being allocated or already being earned in Sparklet. That current chapter is going to be ending in about a week, and when that happens, it's obviously going to be people going to be awarded different amounts of Sparklet, and within a couple weeks, that Sparklet is going to be distributed. So we're very close to calling Spark Sparklet, so might as well do it that way, and might as well have that 1,000 to 1 multiplier that makes that 1 Spark or 5 Spark sound like a lot more than it is. 5,000 Sparklet. That sounds like a lot as opposed to you get 5 Spark. So let's take a look at an actual graphic here. Let me see if I can get it to pop up. The one that popped up in game today, it kind of was exciting, and yeah, it's not there. It's not there. The pop up, they popped it up in game. They showed it in game. They have it. They had it in Discord today. So might as well jump back to the Discord version. The in game did not get it onto the roadmap or the map of available activities onto the calendar. But let's take a look right here. Easy enough, as usual, as always. We get these cool images from last year because it seemed like last year was the photogenic year. We had a pretty cool shirt. We had a stage presentation, stage in the room. And I guess it makes more sense to be looking at most recent than the previous. Obviously, this will be a third annual Genesis Week in-person event, but it was pretty cool, very photographic anyways. And here we go, a picture here, the backside of everybody raising a toast to the stage here at Genesis Week 2023. And here's the announcement in person airdrop chapter G. So 3 things here. Number 1, chapters. That's what we're using in the airdrop. We had chapter 1 going on right now. Probably, possibly, maybe there's enough time to have a chapter between the one that's about to end and Genesis Week. We don't know for sure. We know what happens with cycles in when we talk about totems. They can happen and then not happen for a very long period of time. We may be seeing a similar pattern here. We may not be. It might be an immediate turnaround. It might be a direct turnaround. So we'll have to keep our eyes out. But the next chapter, this chapter G, is pretty exciting for me because I'm going to be at Genesis Week in person. At everyone, this just in exclusively during Genesis Live. Again, that's the in-person event, and it's going to be happening in Vegas. In Las Vegas, participants who attend in person, again, there is a virtual version of Genesis Week. There's prizes that are going to be available. This particular prize that is being discussed, not available to those who are attending virtually, who are going to be part of playing in Upland or competing in Upland during the week. Again, if you're not in person, this does not apply to you. But if you are going in person, what a bonus. Participants who attend in person will have a chance to claim between 1 and 5 spark. Again, if you want to use the sparklet terminology, that's between 1,000 and 5,000 sparklet. Notice they put the $sign in front of the sparklet. That's because it's going to be a coin, maybe, kind of, sort of. I guess, maybe. No guarantee. That's what the most recent language says, is kind of that little bit of that disclaimer about, there's no guarantee that the transition to the coin is going to happen anytime. But they are using the $sign there, actually, to identify it as a exchangeable token. And let's take a look during the community event of the year. This is an important clarification. This means all attendees who complete designated activities. I hope one of them is not, swim a mile. But everybody who completes the designated activities during the event in person will receive, and again, this is an important language, at least 1 spark. What is the variable that takes you from 1 spark to 5 spark? We don't know. How many people are going to get 5 spark versus 1 spark? We don't know. I do expect that when you look at these and the 5 is the outlier, more than likely that's the case. 5 is the outlier, 1's the common, and there's probably ways to get more than the 1 along the week. We'll see how that happens. We'll see if it's randomized, and we'll see if there's any way to improve your number. We'll get it as we get a lot closer. But for now, what an incentive. 1 spark or 1,000 sparklet. If we look at the USD price, if I were to go buy it this coming weekend during Spark weekend, or Sparklet weekend, if you want to put it that way, I'd swim a mile for Spark, entire Spark, maybe Picasso, maybe that would be worth it. I don't know if I can swim a mile straight at this point in my life. Maybe if swim, tread, maybe I could get there. I just don't know if I've got it in me as much as I might want it. But for that 1 spark, going to Vegas, there's a lot of costs. There's time off work. There's lots of reasons why a lot of people can't go. But the value, the cost to go buy it this weekend, during the Spark weekend, the Sparklet weekend, however you want to call it, is going to be $460 USD to buy an entire Spark. That's quite a value to tank or to add to $100 ticket. $100 buys you the ticket. Now, in that ticket, you're going to get 3 meals. You're going to get 2 periods of, I'm not going to say abuse it, but I'm going to say 2 periods of open bar with adult beverages, which that typically isn't cheap. There's going to be some swags and some giveaways from last year. We've had quite a bed T-shirt and this piece of swag and that piece of swag, some stickers and some other random giveaways, which a lot of people ended up with something above and beyond that swag bag. And we are going to also additionally have that go-kart racing that's all paid for as part of your ticket. We have speakers and panels and opportunities to get involved in a whole lot of things, discounts on hotel, which in retrospect weren't that bad or aren't that bad of pricing. I did get my own hotel, own deal, different room than what Upland would have made available. But it's a lot for $100. And guess what? But wait, there's more. There's this ultra rare property that you get entered in just for showing up. There's going to be more, and there's going to be more, and there's going to be more, and there's going to be more. More to come, more to participate in. We don't know what other benefits above and beyond Upland giving people things, what other benefits there are. You may be introduced to something before other people are. You may be able to shake hands or speak with or make a connection with an Uplander. If you are somebody who is into meta ventures, you're somebody who's into layer 2, or you're somebody who wants to develop gaming or other forms of layer 2 applications just in general, with an Upland, outside of Upland, and you make those connections at Genesis Week, that could be significant. That could be a significant starting point or jumping off point as you move into the future of your Upland experience or layer 2 experience, or tying together multiple metaverses or whatever it is you want to do. But here's the big one for me. Here's the big benefit of that $100 ticket. It's the opportunity to be at an event with fellow Uplanders, people who you probably have some experience with in many cases, have some experience with, may not have met in person, may have met in person, but it's just a good time over the course of a couple of days above and beyond everything else. But if I needed an additional incentive, if I was on the fence, if I could understand the value of $100 for all the things we got, the food and the maybe a t-shirt here, maybe there, maybe it's a little bit of some drinks on the welcome night, and then some drinks on the end of the celebration with the award ceremony. I could say I'm on the fence, but an additional spark added to the pile, an additional spark given freely from Upland to your account, that'd be enough to take me off the fence. So definitely big thing here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to show you because it's time. Because if you are on the fence and about to get pushed off, here's a reminder of what we're looking at. We did get the announcement Friday about what that schedule looks like. Went over it yesterday in a little bit of detail. Not going to go over it again tonight. May go over it again, in the future. But the basics of the event, they just added and expanded this. This is new. In-person airdrop, 1 to 5 spark, 1,000 to 5,000 sparklets during the community event of the year. Again, they added this in-person airdrop to the information that was already on Eventbrite. They added the schedule to the Eventbrite. So if you're going on an Eventbrite and you're looking at buying these tickets and you're clueless, you want to go to the event, but you aren't paying attention or haven't been paying attention, look at all this value you have to look over. The event starts on June 6th, 6 p.m., goes till June 7th at 10 p.m. That's the event. And that's the plan. Technically, it's going to 11, I think, is what the after party with the go-karts goes to. 11 now is a new time that's been announced. Excuse me. And with that, of course, with that, there's all types of things that are happening in that day, essentially day from 6 to 10, from Thursday into Friday. There's a lot that's going on in there. And inside of that, above and beyond everything else, is going to be the event itself. There's a block explorer that's being given. There's one for the early birds. There's one for general participants, general people going. There is a modification, if you don't have it already, to the badge for your Genesis Week participation. If you have gone before, they modify your existing badge for Genesis Week. If you've never been, you get a brand new badge for going. There's a lot going on, and we're looking forward to it. And again, $100 to cost that ticket. Keep in mind, we're at the Sahara. Recommendation, at least from me, and other people have different thoughts, but for me to fly, just because of where I live, for me to fly that many miles, take the time off work, from the time I leave the airport or leave my airport to get to the event, add in a little time to, for me to get to the airport a little bit early, it's 10 plus hours for me to take that travel out. And it's 10 plus hours to get back. And that being said, that being the case, for me, I want those extra night or two that I'm going to spend while in Vegas. It's just a personal determination. I'm able to do it. Not everybody is. That's one thing to consider. So you're going to be staying at a hotel for a couple of nights down there. You have to get to Vegas, of course. And there's plenty of other things to do while you're there, depending on what's going on. But if you can justify a couple of days off work or a few days off work, if you can justify the cost, that spark is big incentive to make that decision. And then let's get to the one other thing. Obviously, Blossom Season 2024 is keeping on rolling. The cosmetic drops happening every Tuesday. This week, cosmetic drops 3 instead of 1. Let's go. Okay, I'll take it. We'll take a look at those. And the one other thing that happened today was obviously the map asset sale. Map asset sale. This was something we knew about yesterday. This is something we knew about last week. You had to qualify. You had to qualify by buying ornaments. You paid for the ornament bundle and buy at least one of them in USD. You qualified for this sale in UPEX. You registered yesterday. Sale happened today, 9 a.m. PT. And guess what? It sold out. It sold out. I expected it to happen. It was a new PX. I expected it to happen because it was going to be, and I expected it to be, you buy your first when you have a cooldown, you buy it again, and then you have a little cooldown, you buy it again. I expect that to happen so that people who were at work and could not get to their lunchtime and waiting for the lunchtime, and they get to the lunchtime, and it's only an hour. It's only an hour after the opening, and they think they're going to get themselves 1, maybe 2 of these map assets that are available in UPEX. They get nothing. Too bad. So sad. You waited. Or, as has been reported, and I think it sounds like something I've seen happen myself and up in the past, you get a bad draw. You got a bad draw. You've got 600, 700, 800 in line, and you're waiting and you're sitting there and you're twiddling your thumbs and you're waiting for it to be your turn, and it never gets to be your turn because they're sold out before it gets there. But the insult to injury about being number 600, 700, 800 in line is what appears to have happened is the original cooldown period was about 8 minutes, as I was told. Again, plus or minus 8 minutes. Doesn't matter if it was a little more, a little less, but it was a shorter period of time. If you were, say, 200 in line, it was a shorter period of time than it was from the 200th spot to the 600th spot. And what that generally means is you don't get to the 600th spot because the guy who bought at the 200th spot, they get to buy again. And maybe with their cooldown, they get to buy a second time or a third time before you get to buy your first time. And the guy who's in the first spot, if he has a short cooldown, same thing. He might be buying a second one before the guy who's in the 200th spot even buys his first. So we do see that these things sometimes do spiral when that's the case. We do see that the people who buy early, they can get a ton, and the people who buy midway through, they can get a small number, and the people who have a draw that's not right up to top, it's not number 100, 200, 300, they never get a chance because people are buying 4, 5, 6. They're buying as many as they can because UPEX sales are not common. We don't have them happening that much anymore. And with that being the case and limited city releases and going to Bermuda and not being able to mint, people are sitting on some UPEX, and that's where it went to buy some map assets or multiple, a bunch of them before Goldie could get one, before a lot of people could get one. So that's the story. Whether or not it's a gripe, whether or not it's a success story for the people who bought a bunch, it definitely can be said that's what happened or what appears to have happened. Congratulations to those who did get multiple to those who got zero condolences. That's myself. That's other people. There's people who weren't like me. Me, I was just flat out busy. I had 200 spot, something like that, 200, 210 in front of me, whatever it was. I could have purchased if I was available at the time. I wasn't available at the time. I can't gripe about it. I can't complain about it. Sometimes I got lucky. Sometimes I've been able to buy multiples. My timing works out. I never get a good draw. I never get number 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Never get right up at the front of the line. But sometimes I get a decent draw. Sometimes I have the lunch hour. I get in, I buy a few items, knowing other people who don't have that lunch hour can't. So I can't complain too loudly, too often, with too much breath that I didn't get lucky this time, because I'm not going to get lucky every time. But for the people who saw some people get 6 when they were unable to get any, my condolences, because this does happen sometimes. It's worth, asking, requesting, suggesting, maybe, just maybe, something's done about it. That we set a cooldown that says you can't buy your second until everyone or the entire line has cycled through and everyone has ended up with an opportunity to buy their first. Definitely possible. I've seen sales like that before. I've seen it where if you buy one, you get locked out for a while, and then Upland manually goes and unlocks, and now you have opportunities to buy a second or third at that point. Maybe it's an hour cooldown or 2-hour cooldown. You buy one, you can't get back into the sale queue for 2 hours. I don't know what the solution is, but I definitely feel for the people who were in that position, that they wanted to go buy one. They didn't get that opportunity. I've been in that position myself. Let's take a look at the here it is. Seasons Pass. This is a third drop of Blossom Season. Week 1, week 2. This is week 3, week 1. We got 2 items. Week 2, we got 2 items. Week 3, 3 items. So that is a little bit of a win, at least for me. I said, we had some weeks in the previous season where we got 3 and we got 3 and we got 3 a few weeks in a row, and people got used to getting 3 items in a week, and we thought, so our expectation was, people were a little bit, hey, I only got 2. Hey, I only got 2. Can I get 3? And here's 3. And there's another thing here, a little bit of animation going on, a little bit more, what some might say, effort went into what was going on here. We'll get into that. We'll take a look. And let's take a look at those. Of course, today it was the drop. Give it the next drop next week, the 23rd, 9 a.m. PT. So burn before then if you want to participate in that. That's what Uplands remind us. That is for drop number 4. But drop 3, active, live right now. Let's go take a look. I think the sound shares when I do this, but Steampunk drops are live. Week 3 is here. There's a Blossom 2024 season pass. If you burnt it today, you would have a luminous a mansion. And that's going to be a background for Block Explorer. Mechanical Dance. That is going to be an actual graphic that is going with motion. We have the Coin Rain, another animated effect in our Block Explorer. Again, those do layer with the background, those layer with our Block Explorer for our Block Explorer on the map. And of course, if you haven't got it yet, you do get the pass. You do get the badge for burning the pass for Blossom Season. And we'll continue to see this. This happens every single week in Blossom Season. If you were one of the people who burnt your pass, obviously you're going to continue to see more of these. These will run until the end of the season. The season's going to end in the middle of May. The last Tuesday in the season is going to be May the 14th. That'll be the last pass or last pass drop. So keep that in mind. We've got a few left. This is our third. We've had a few total, and we will continue to I don't know, hope for more. See what happens. But let's go into Upland itself. Back in the game. I'm gonna go play around with these so we can take a little closer look. As always with these, they have the graphical and the aesthetics themselves are something that you're going to see prominently. How much other people see them with the idea of if they're not using 3D graphics and if they turn off block explorers, definitely understand that argument. But if I'm looking at my own block explorer and I see these coins following, because I want to see those coins following, I can do that. If I want to see these gears turning, which are kind of cool, if I want to see these gears turning, it's kind of cool. So maybe I'm going to leave those gears on, and then maybe I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at my background. Let's see, take a look at the new background. It's luminous emanation. Wow, pronunciation's not my strong suit today. A luminous emanation blossom season 2024. Know the word, lips don't want to follow along. And there we go. That's what we look like. Again, there's our block explorer background again to show the background of our block explorer as we travel around, as we drift around. Here is a graphic that is showing up in front on the foreground. It does have motion. So there it is. Look at that. It is a little animation there in front of my block explorer itself. And then I'm going to go back to my cards. And because I've got a little bit of theme going on with steampunk, I'm going back to steampunk from Blossom Serenity. Give me some more flowers, Upland. I'm going to go to the steampunk because of the steampunk. You're going to push down my throat and keep pushing it down my throat. And I like the thematics. I like the fact that there is some continuity in what the theme is. I'm okay with that. Give me some more flowers. Thank you, Upland. That is next week. Hopefully looking at some great flowers, maybe some animated flowers, maybe some sakura season, some cherry blossoms. I don't know, Upland. Give me something. More blossoms for Goldsmith, please, and thank you. For tonight, I did mention we do want to look forward. I'm going to keep saying it until it comes. Spark Utility, AMA, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's been promised. I don't know if it's tomorrow. I don't know if it's 6 weeks out. I don't know when it's going to be. Upland hasn't specified. Please don't wait till Genesis week. I want to use it as a little bit of a springboard, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of a next step of why do you want Spark, and then have people come back in, put the effort for the energy back in the game of Upland, on board with it, get people excited. I would love to see that sooner rather than later. So Upland, get on that sooner rather than later, please, and thank you. And then finally, just Genesis week, the roll, the run, the getting there. We know from our schedule that we've already seen for Genesis week, hackathons there. Again, hackathon, something that has to get started relatively soon. We have to have the rules out in front of people so people know what they're looking at and they can start getting started building towards that the goal. Obviously, with the hackathon, with these hackathons, with the finals and being in person, generally people will have to travel to Genesis week in order to present, aka they have to know if they're going to be going to go, or they're going to know if they're going to have a project in the finals to go. They're going to want to know and want to start thinking about what the rules of that hackathon are, if they want to even participate. We need to know sooner rather than later. The people who are and have applied for booths, they should be hearing from Upland directly. Keep a look at your email. Go and check if you're approved. The Upland is reaching out and asking for people's graphics if they did apply for and were approved for a booth at Genesis Week in-person live event. You need to get those graphics in so Upland can get to work on making those standee, those stand-up, those independent standing banners, which are kind of fun. Get those graphics in, make sure they look good. Proof them yourself. We don't want to see the R in the wrong place in a number of words out there if we can avoid it. So looking forward to seeing that. And that is something to put your time and effort into if you're headed that way. And then finally, Upland promised that we're getting a new city in Blossom season. We only have so many weeks left to Blossom season. It's officially under a month now. Keep your eyes out, keep your ears open. We're going to get that figured out here in the not so distant future. But for tonight, that's what we're going to look at. We're going to keep our eyes open, keep our ears open, see what's going on here as we roll down the road here towards Genesis Week 2024. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. As always, if you're in the Upland Cafe, feel free to unmute your mics. I always remind people Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. PT. We do kick things off in the Upland Cafe a little bit before the show actually gets going here on YouTube. We do get things obviously recorded so people can watch it the next day while they're cooking breakfast or whatever the case is. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here. And those in the cafe, thank you everybody for being here as well. And if you are in the cafe, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.